So we are all set, and welcome everyone. I'm gonna play the level 3 of Joan of Arc, the Cleansing of the Loire, with actually the new scenario, which is updated for the new DLC of Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition. And along with that, we're gonna discuss about the DLC thing, not only Age of Empires, but I'm gonna focus a lot of Age of Empires, a little bit of history and how it works nowadays. But also it can apply to many strategy games, and why it is good, why it is bad, and what it is my personal opinion and what I feel that the community is talking about. I am kind of an average Joe. I got a really small channel, but I want to really play it, and along with this I'm gonna ramble about some important stuff, and let's see if I can make it actually work. And I really want to try to offer a good discussion without taking a lot of time. So I'm going to do a few edits, but I'm going to try to explain a few things and try to play real time. It can be very difficult, and I'm probably going to stop a few times. And yeah, that's a lot of risk, but I guess it's going to be good. I'm going to play the game on hard difficult, and I played this game, this scenario a lot, because these campaigns I really know a lot of stuff about the old campaigns of Age of Empires 2. And let's see, let's start out, and I first gonna watch the cinematics. I really like the sport, then I'm gonna read about a little bit about the objectives, and then we're gonna play a little bit fast, but not fast enough, and we can enjoy a little bit about the scenario. So let's go.
June 14th, Orléans. Our rescue of Orléans was a setback for our enemies, but only a minor one. The English still possess half of France. Tragically, we have cooled our heels for weeks, while the Dauphin's advisors debate. Joan became irritated with the delay and reassembled her army. She talks of nothing but her mission to drive the English into the sea. The force of Joan's will is titanic. She has gathered to her banner swearing brigands and knaves and turned them into patriots and heroes. Among them is the man Loire, a giant clad in plate mail. He drives men on with curses and fists. There will be plenty of English necks for Loire to break at Patay. Patay is the gateway to the Loire River Valley. The English hold the Loire in a grip of steel, whilst the huge army under Sir John Fastolf devastates the countryside. Joan leads us to Patay to capture the English castles. However, we must avoid Fastolf's army until we are strong enough to face his veterans.
Right, cool, and we're gonna go right away after Fastolf. Well. So it's time for the objectives. So Joan must survive, and we should destroy 3 of the 4 English castles. Not really a complex scenario. And we got, in the Definitive Edition, the population limit of 125, which is great in my opinion. Much more comfortable instead of playing with the standard 75. And make sure that you have siege weapons, of course. And you should actually build your base on the other side of the river. So we got Joan of Arc, and she got interesting army composition. A lot of crossbowmen. English, they control many castles, and we're gonna avoid them because they are all inside the castles, so we're just gonna attack them also we get enough siege. And then there is the Burgundians, which is one of the 2 new civilizations with the new DLC, the Kings of the West. So the Burgundians, they are updated into every scenario which appears the Burgundians on the traditional, the common Age of Empires 2 scenarios from 1999. We got the new ones. The Burgundians are now a civilization. They got a new coat of arms over here. So that's another interesting thing. They got an army of infantry. We're probably not gonna see a castle along with the new units, which is a crazy but very interesting unit for Age of Empires 2, which we're gonna discuss a little bit about that, which is the Costelier. And also we got the Fastolf's army, which is just Britons. And here's a faction which is really interesting, because once you destroy a castle, I'm gonna spoil it, he's gonna appear out of nowhere with really strong units. But I'm gonna try to avoid it, and I'm gonna try to play it in a kind of speed running technique, but not really speed running because it's not that fast. Let's go, we're gonna play a little bit, mention a few things, and then I start to talk more about the whole question about DLCs. And let's see if I make it work.
Oh yeah.
La here wishes to kill something.
With these ships, we can cross the Loire River and deal with any English warships we encounter.
Okay, so you guys gonna stay here without no attack stance. And I'm gonna try to... Okay, so, and I'm gonna try to position both of you on a really interesting place where you guys could actually be useful. As utilizing the demolition ships here, it's not completely useless, but it's not that great as well. I mean, the water in this scenario is just not good. There is not enough fish. There's a few ones here, but it's really poor regarding fishes. So, I don't know why there is not enough fish here. Or about saying fishes, I believe that fish is an alternated form of fish as a plural, but anyway. But here we don't have enough, so I have a small theory that they didn't put enough, simply because when we had several Gaia objects...
The blood on Lahire's sword is almost dry.
Okay, Lair. Simply because when we have several Gaia objects, it can lag your game. And even nowadays, with the ludicrous size, it might not work really well, simply because you have too many Gaia objects, no matter if you have a really good computer. So that's an interesting theory, and maybe in 1999 having a big map as that with many fish, wouldn't be that great. And here is the Fastolf army is over here. Oh. I do not want to restart this game, as you can see I'm really having trouble, but I'm trying to get to my idea as fast as possible. Anyway, we have... Oh no, man, that's gonna be more about comedy instead of... Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! We are gone.
Lost Joan! What should become of France now?
So you guys go with John. And I go with Loire here against Fastolf. DLCs in Age of Empires, the franchise. We see very good examples of what happened, for example, with the era of HD. Remember Age of Empires 2 HD on Steam? Feeling old yet? Well, I remember. And I feel that although we had a bunch of civilizations, people were, well, they were on good terms with that. It was a time that we really felt, I really feel, that we had a extremely period of, you know, completely lack of more recognition from Microsoft because the game was legendary. I truly remember on how even nowadays you can see there's a bunch of people concerned about creating new content, or you know, people that still work just with the base game for mods. That's something pretty amazing. That's good. No, you come here, John. You guys should work more. You know, you guys should go after these Fastolf guys. Oh, that kind of sucks. Let's see here. Oh, you're done. And when we think about this new DLC, there's a lot of commentary. There's people saying, "Whoa, yeah, it's terrible. It's, you know, it's kind of crazy to think, whoa, they are giving DLC, so why is it bad?" Well, it's reasonable to think that way, and I was thinking, but then I analyze it that when you're working with a game as... Oh no, don't go that near the English castle, please. So we're gonna try to cross here, and I believe that we're gonna make it. Okay.
Que fait? Certes. Libet. À la bataille. Certes. Libet. Oh yeah. Libet. Oh yeah. Certes. Oh yeah. Certes. Prêt. Assaut. Oh yeah. Libet. Certes. Oh yeah. Certes. Oh yeah. Certes. Libet. Que fait? Certes. Libet. Da. Quem é? Quem é?
Que fait?
Certes. Prêt. Bonjour. Quem é? Que fait? À la bataille.
Great. No, not so great. In this game, as you can see, Burgundians, they look to be, you know, very, very understandable to have, because they were an important faction for the Middle Ages. So very cool. It's a civilization that you would see only on Age of Empires 2 games, so the time to put Burgundians would be now. It is a cool civilization. In my opinion, the concept that they had with the civilization is kind of bold. It's very interesting about having a very shock cavalry. But still, you know, people tend to have a lot of mixed feelings about it. Because Burgundians, they have very cool features, but they have features that they are, how can I say that? They are much more expected to be with Age of Empires 3. Yeah, you get this right here. They have features that are more specifically designed for Age of Empires 3 and Age of Mythology. Sorry. And this is what is bringing a lot of, you know, mixed feelings, because people feel, well, are these civilizations designed for Age of Empires 2 players, or are they designed for Age of Empires players overall? That's a tricky question, but, well, the pro player is gonna survive. You know, they always know how to adapt. They always know how to recognize what is better about the civilization, what should work better. So we have a lot of interesting scenarios here, and we should think about. Okay. We should think as well about the other opinions, about the casuals, about the middle ones, about the people that do not know the game. Maybe would be a little bit confusing about so many DLCs, but at the same time, what is that? What is that, John?
Que fait? Oh yeah. Libet. Prêt. Oh yeah. Assaut. Libet. Libet. Prêt. Oh yeah. Libet. Oh yeah. Certes. Oh yeah. Certes. Oh yeah. Certes. Oh yeah. Certes.
Okay, that's kind of bad.
Que fait? Libet. Prêt. Oh yeah. À la bataille. Que fait? Que fait? Libet.
This whole thing, what you're seeing right now is Age of Empires 2. All of these moments that I have, during clicking around and trying to, you know, my best on all of these kind of clunky mechanics for a modern RTS, that's what people like. So an Age of Empires 2 DLC should have, in my opinion, always a design which is very, very similar to what you should expect on Age of Empires 2 games. It's very delicate to say that without being here, but when developers are doing DLCs, I really hope that they should focus a lot on what would work on Age of Empires 2, and sometimes the answer for it is that, well, it's been done already. And we have so many civilizations, and although I love, you know, the history of Europe, and I really love the idea of having more civilizations focused on European factions, but at the same time, I should not really ignore the fact that we had so many. We had so many civilizations already that in order to fill it in a very good way, it's sometimes kind of a challenge. For example, if you want to do a Vandal civilization, that's an important faction for the fall of the Roman Empire. Well, maybe, just maybe, some people might say, well, and there is other stuff that are much more relevant compared to what were the Vandals. But the point here is that when you try to set up a Vandal civilization, you're gonna run up with you're gonna actually see the barrier that, well, there is already civilizations that could fulfill the role of a Vandals. For example, you think about invaders, you think about quantity, but we already got the Goths. We also got the Malays, and all of these civilizations. Oh no, that's not what I want. We still have a lot of. We still have a lot of things that we could explore, but all of them, they could not really be merged on a functional civilization, in my opinion. We're gonna come across the small problem of, you know, it's just too much. It's a bloated game. You're gonna start to have civilizations that basically do the same function in the game, and that's delicate. That's why they came across with some crazy ideas for the Burgundians. You know, you can actually turn our villagers into Flemish militia. You can actually have a unit with gonna charge its special attack. Or, you know, the question that we have with the Sicilians is that you have an infantry which builds constructions, which are actually towers to dungeons. So that's why I feel that it's really good to have DLCs, but I'm mildly concerned about how they're gonna make it work in a good way, in a way that everyone gonna feel that, you know, it's how Age of Empires should be. That's a small problem. It's not really the most important thing out here in my vision. We have many. Let me see. Oh yeah, I guess it's on. I guess this time I'm not gonna need to resign this again. So that's good. Oh yeah, there is a place right here with a lot of deer, and I believe that I should be there if I really wanna. Oh yeah, you're done. Curious, did you? And if I remember correctly, the English are kind of passive in this level, and Fastolf's army, they're gonna arrive anyway, but at the same time, they are not really a problem if we destroy every castle at the same time, so that's cool. In this case, we're not gonna see all the potential of the Burgundians, but at the same time, we can reflect, you know, well, we have the DLCs, but what now? Do we need more? Or, you know, it was kind of tested by Microsoft to see how it would be the reception, if they should dump a lot of more civilizations, if people want more. And I feel that the reception of it can be kind of mixed, because we have some new, I wouldn't say that we have an extremely young player base. We have more millennials, and I feel that we got a few zoomers, which is very, very good, and I'm really happy that we are able to actually... That's good. That's really good. And when we think about this whole situation, about, well, they are testing us, they are trying to actually just see how much money they can get out of Age of Empires 2 players. I think it is valid. They are trying to set up the Age of Empires franchise again. Though I'm not really that excited about Age of Empires 4, and I can discuss that in another video. I also believe that having this kind of effort is actually pretty good. Don't get me wrong. We have a situation where the RTS genre, it's not really the top one anymore. There's a lot of good pro players, there's StarCraft players, there's a lot of people that care about this game. But we should be honest about this. Although we have these cases, although we have a lot of people that want to play this game competitively, we do not have a huge market, so there's a lot of effort for these developers, for example, of Age of Empires 2 to survive. And technically, I feel it's good to have the chance of DLCs and support them. And I still see that having this thing of paying for other civilizations, and you know, instead of having a real expansion with probably more 4 or 5 civilizations, instead of that we're just getting 2 and pay a DLC, and you know, you can play, but at the same time they're gonna have to have some adjustments, just like they did on HD, where you can play with people with DLC even if you just own the HD base game. And you know, in these cases I really don't like it, and I feel that they should think more about this. I would rather have one expansion with a lot of civilizations instead of having 3 DLCs, for example. And I know that there are many things related to it, things are not really... there's always a reason for that, sometimes investment that they would do on creating a new, you know, a real expansion with new functionalities and new campaigns and new civilizations. It's hard, so they, you know, it's better, let's do a few campaigns, let's do a few new maps, let's try to put this along with some civilizations, and then we can justify a price on the DLCs. And that's the point here, and it's good. There's a lot of advantage to it. I feel that the DLCs that they worked on HD, they really landed, so they are trying to risk themselves, because it was supposed to be a definitive edition, but we are receiving new content, so we should be happy, right? Well, yeah, we should be happy, but at the same time we should also be very aware that this whole thing about having... Okay, are you gonna finish off her? And that's good. We have 2 things to look at this. We have also a game that was supposed to be definitive. We have a player base that, you know, spend a lot of money already. Many guys bought DLCs, they bought HD, they bought the definitive edition. Now they want to say, well, I'm gonna pay once again to fully play this game. I'm gonna need to pay once again. There's another paywall. And there is, you know, they are doing a lot of effort regarding balance, but at the same time, you know, balance this game, make it fair for any kind of user, the players that want to pay more, the players that do not want to pay. I would say that the things that would be more fair to this so loyal player base would be to analyze the possibility of offering the civilizations at the same time that you don't need to actually make people pay for it. So I would be okay with adding a lot of new campaigns, a lot of new achievements, a lot of new, you know, single-player content, but, you know, leave the whole competitive scene, which is doing really great, you know, maybe... Oh, get wrecked, dude. And I'm gonna destroy the Burgundy right now. And you know, do that, Microsoft. Please think about us, think about the gamers that have been here since forever and they're probably gonna stay forever. Oh yeah, that's great. So first time that I destroy one of the new civilizations, because I played a multiplayer game since a long time because I didn't have a computer, and I didn't have the opportunity yet to destroy one of these civilizations. So that's cool, and we didn't see the cost here, which is good. And now let me say about, try to analyze this DLC and, try to extrapolate some things to other DLCs on other games. When you are making new content that is not necessarily the base game, you should actually make it really functional. And as a good example that I would like to give is that when we are playing all of these... Where are the last Fastolf? I don't really remember how do they make it to work, in order to they do not resign even though they are now technically defeated. But let's see. So make the game work really well with the DLC, there is nothing worse than paying for content that do not work well. And that's something that really made me shocked because there is, in my opinion, not enough testing. Because Loire is extremely strong, so there is many good players out here and even average players which can play pretty well the game. But not really super pro, they're not, the top notch, but they are on a really good level. They can use the Conciliars in a really nasty way, so it's a unit which really obliterates any other opposition. And the traditional counter system in Age of Empires is not really well adapted to what it should be in order to counter the Conciliar. So, let's say, there's just this one problem, because, player will figure out, and we had a game that wasn't really that well balanced, after all. If you really remember about our trajectory with the Age of Empires 2 competitive scene and the past years, and I would say almost 10 years ago, I remember the competitive scene was specifically Han mirror on Arabia. So it was just the Han civilization, which was the best one, the meta one, sorry, and also on Arabia, which is the the most important map on Age of Empires 2. So analyzing these situations and understanding it, it's something that makes me really, I would say, it gives me an interesting sensation because we had a game that wasn't balanced for so many years and we were so happy. And we were happy with new things, but now that we have so many new things, we are not that satisfied yet. So we actually want have a game that have a balance, but the fact that we were adding DLC after DLC, it creates problems for balance. And not only that, it wasn't really a proper tested game DLC to be released, because with this DLC they needed a patch, and the patch actually broken a civilization that was already old in the game. Lithuanians came with the definitive edition, but anyway, they are a broken civilization. They have a problem. There is a bug that people are abusing with the civilization, with the relics that are being, you can capture relics in Age of Empires 2 and they're gonna give you money. But in this case of the Lithuanians, when you do that, you get +1 attack. And it worked well so far, but not anymore apparently, because people were really mad. Oh no. Oh no. That's kind of bad. That's kind of bad, We had another. They are not that. They are not really that passive anymore. But anyway, even if I lose, that doesn't matter, because I need to finish this point. If they wanna release new civilizations or new DLCs or whatever, I really truly hope that they should have more care about this. We need a lot of proper testing, because now people that do not possess this game was actually affected by the DLC as a whole. They updated the campaign, so even if you don't own the DLC, I believe that you shall be able to play the game with the new civilizations in the campaigns, which is interesting, so they thought about that. But at the same time, I don't really think that they made the best job with this new patch, with bugs that weren't supposed to exist in the first place. Okay, so we can kill this guy right here. Okay, time to lure these longbows here. And yeah, as you can see, the longbows are great units. We all know about their characteristics, and it shouldn't be a surprise that they would do really well against this very poor army composition that I made. And defending with town centers is not really a good idea, so that's established facts in Age of Empires 2. That's not with the Coslier. There's a whole new concept that shouldn't be worked much better, because it's basically a unit that kill other units with one hit, but they need to charge this attack. Without this charge attack, they are not really that great. They are, they work just as a common knight, just as Joanne worked. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that this kind of idea should be very, very well, should be carefully planned if we really wanted this game to stand out and work as intended. So that's one of the many things that I have to say about the whole situation, about Age of Empires. And this DLC, all of that is happening, and we should not go into a way that is similar to what happened to the Age of Mythology extended edition. It's not AG, it's extended edition on Steam. And this Age of Mythology, they created a new civilization, but this civilization, trust me, they could make it much better. On paper, it would be great. The fans of Age of Mythology, which is actually a specific niche inside Age of Empires franchise, it's a spin-off. They were kind of upset because the developers, they were testing it, they were happy to announce it, they made it as a big deal, but in the end, we actually ended up with a game that does not work really well. It's not a bit optimal. The Chinese civilization, in my opinion, is lazily done. It could be much, much better, but it's not. And it is sad, people. It's not really something that I feel that it was made with a lot of love or with a lot of care. So that's a bad point, a bad example of how having more DLCs is not necessarily good for the game. Or in some occasions, I would say that is very detrimental, because when you have DLC and you have the base game, you are actually splitting the community. And that's not good. You need actually all of the people playing this game, because there's not that many players of Age of Empires. It's actually, I wouldn't say limited, but it's not really a really big franchise. It's not really a huge fan base. But it's okay, I guess. They can work with that in the future. They can fix the Burgundian. They can fix the Chinese on Age of Mythology. But still, it's something that I should be avoided. So that's the general things about this DLC and this whole situation. I'm gonna cite a few points that I wrote here about pros and cons about DLCs, and I already talked a lot of stuff, but this is kind of a way of trying to closing all the points that were actually raised by the community and by other players and other personal observations. So, as a pro, saying things that I really like about this DLC is that we got more stuff to do on Age of Empires. So it's a sort of, trying to bring the casuals, the people that really sometimes get also tired of playing this game because it's a really competitive game. That's a way of bringing people to having fun with this game once again. So I like this idea. I like the idea of exploring new concepts of civilizations. I really think that it's something good. And don't get me wrong, I feel that with the current game that we have, we actually should be proud about this, because Age of Empires 2 is an excellent example of a game that was resurrected and is doing pretty fine. I would say that this game has a really good quality of life changes, and we should be happy about that. Okay, so I'm gonna do a very lame thing to do. I'm just gonna walk around with Joan and see the DC for just right then. Oh yes, I forgot mine. Okay, yeah, the area is clear. We're not gonna lose yet, even though it would be very embarrassing if I lose at this point. So that's a good thing. If you have more stuff to do, just like in trying to find more stuff to do in Age of Empires, which is not playing the so competitive and so crazy multiplayer, I really like to have some few achievements and a few more campaigns. And I would say that the single player people, there is a player base, you know, there's many people, almost everyone that I know and posts about this game on internet, or you know, go to Discord servers, or go to YouTube channels, or create content for YouTube. Most of these people focus on multiplayer, you know, or share their interests with both multiplayer, and also they try to play a little bit of the single player, but there is also a player base, part of these players with they only like single player. So having the new civilizations, no matter if you're a guy who likes skirmish, play on random maps, or if you're a guy who likes campaign, they love having more content. They love having more civilizations. So that's a strong point for DLC. So that's a community where I believe that they are always doing right, because it's full of fish now. So if they do not want more DLCs, they simply stop buying it. And that's cool, that's great. But if we think about the multiplayer part, it can be mixed, there are mixed feelings about that, but anyway. Next up is about, you know, rewarding the developers. So I kind of talked about it earlier, but I like the idea of actually contributing to the developers to get more money, because I feel that they are actually applying a lot of attention to this game. They are having a lot of care in many situations, although they are failing on some. They also are doing right on many cases. So this is something that should be a matter that we should respect about them. They really love this game. I believe that people that are involved with Age of Empires, they really love this game. That's not something that happens with many games. Sometimes people that are actually developing do not love the game or do not have any idea on how it should work. Believe me, I really know about that. And the case of Age of Empires is actually pretty great. We have a community which is flourishing with many people, and we should reward the developers, because they're trying to make we go after this game. They're creating challenges, events. It's very often, and they are posting about it on the internet. They really care about the franchise. They really care about this game specifically. So that's good, and that's the best things that we should expect about the DLCs, and something that I feel that's the general feeling with the community. But anyway, we talk about many good points, but there is actually pretty of bad things. For example, a cash grab feature for Age of Empires. I truly remember that some people didn't like the style that it was Age of Empires Online, because you actually had to pay. It was a subscription, if I remember correctly. And the way that it was not really the standard way that we used to love Age of Empires. So I wouldn't say that it is a game that it has fans, but it is a different kind of Age of Empires. It's good, it's something different. They're probably gonna implement some concepts of it on Age of Empires 4, I believe, because games need to be a little bit more, I would say more, more up to the contemporary things that work nowadays. We should not be over nostalgic, but at the same time, I believe that being cash grabby with many DLCs, and you can play with the base civilizations. There is plenty of them, but if you want to play with the civilization, with the unit which can kill other units with one hit, which can kill basically archers very easily, or which can wipe out villagers with one hit, you should pay the DLC actually. Or if you want to build towers with infantry units, you should pay the DLC. So that's feel cash grabby. I don't like it. And the things about being cash grabby, it's actually getting pay to win. So I believe that we will have a game with... We will have an Age of Empires which will not reach this low. I truly believe that it's gonna make it work in a way that it's not really that horrible cash grabby situation that we have with MMORPGs. I believe that they are on a different level. But I'm not really sure on how we can expect that. Oh no. But I'm not really sure on what we can expect in the long run about the DLCs. They're not going to be pay to win. It's not going to be a game which will be pay to win. But it's going to create an era that they are trying to be pay to win, but they probably are not really going, because the player base will simply reject any attempt of doing such thing. Oh yeah, I'm probably getting a little bit, exaggerated, but it's something that I feel that it is the feeling of the community. So they are thinking about these things. They are really analyzing about a future which can be kind of bleak regarding so many DLCs. Yes, but it's something to observe. I want to help developers, but I don't want to pay for this game over and over again, because I'm supporting a game which is old, and although there is new functionalities, there is new stuff, I don't really think that I want to really, having to pay for a lot of content in order to pay this game, in order to play this game on the best condition possible. I don't want to pay this over and over again, once again, after contributing for the game, for the HD, for the DLCs of the HD, for the Definitive Edition, and for everything. And one thing that I already mentioned is about balance. So people are talking about balance very often, and as you can imagine, there is many concerns about that. So balance of Age of Empires is very delicate. The developers are working really hard with that. There's a lot of changes every month. You cannot keep up with everything. The game changed a lot, and I mean really a lot. It changed tags recently, so the game is not finished. And I believe that having so many DLCs and having this kind of theory that I saw that some games are trying to apply, that the game is never finished, which some that happens on MMORPGs since ever. But having this, I think it's maybe it can be really good for some, in some aspects can be extremely good, but in some other aspects, I don't really think that it's good. They're having so many balancing changes, and they're gonna make the regular Joe, the one that do not know exactly what to do, even with the civilizations that they already created, it's gonna be...
We'll see how your knights fare against English longbows.
Where are you? Alright, Fastolf, but you're not gonna show up with the longbows, as far as I remember. And you're kind of dead, So yes, that was my point here. The balance of this game is more delicate than it shows. So, yeah, do we really need so many complex balance changes? Do we really need all of that? Is it good for us? Is it good for the community? Will get people fed up and simply stuck to a single patch or to a thumb patch and stay with this patch with a sect of players, or the people gonna fracturate, people gonna return to Woobly, to Game Ranger era, which is okay, I guess. It's good to have these options, but the majority of the community, they probably gonna feel that, you know, at some point we're gonna need a stable game. So, and we want a game with high quality. We don't want to be to, you know, testing new ideas, see how it works, and then you're gonna leave a kind of civilization that is not really that great, that started very overpowering and then get very under powered, you know. Think about the humans. It's a situation where we had a really good civilization, but eventually it got so nerfed that's not really that comfortable. It's not really that interesting to play anymore. So that's it. That's something that can happen with the Age of Empires future. And the last, I would say that Age of Empires era. That's something that should not be lost.
Army of rams! How quaint!
Oh, that's amazing. That's a really amazing phrase.
Prêt, Mineo. Oil. Certes. Liberax. Oil. Pastissor.
Que fait? Bonjour. Cueilleur. Que fait? L'hiver.
So where is Loire? Yeah, you're here.
L'hiver.
Okay, so this is doing... that's kind of bad, you know. These longbows are so powerful that they can actually destroy my rams out there. The Age of Empires aura is something very particular in this game. There are many games that attempt to be similar to Age of Empires, but they do not capture the same feeling. In Age of Empires 2, they got probably the golden spot. I feel that it's the best Age of Empires. But having so many DLCs and new content, it's gonna create something else. It's gonna create a game which is not Age of Empires, which can be very pleasant, but it's not what we are actually, you know, it's not something that we particularly recognize as Age of Empires. So that's something that even if we create some cool mechanicals and if people feel happy about that, which is great, and I really feel that people should be really grateful that the developers are actually trying to do something. I really think that we should be concerned about losing the era or having a lot of new gimmicks that works perfectly or would be really good when we imagine other Age of Empires installments, you know, Age of Empires 3 or even Age of Empires 1, which really deserves more love in my opinion. But, oh no, but the aura of this game should be preserved. There is, the characteristics of this game should not be confused with the other ones. I believe that there is some things that are distinctive about Age of Empires 2. They're not necessarily bad things. There are things that are characteristic. Adding new things over and over again is not the correct answer here. We should think about things that should fit our Age of Empires 2 aura. It seems to be a very subjective thing, but at the same point that I love having the Burgundians, I'm really concerned about having new units with the same with the same idea of, you know, being able to. That's kind of crazy. Of having units that can build stuff or can have special attacks just like the heroes of Age of Mythology or special units on Age of Empires 3. That's a delicate thing. That's something that should be very delicate and should be thought, should be analyzed with a lot of caution on Age of Empires.
Okay. Oil.
Okay.
Que fait? Assaut.
An arm of rents, indeed.
Hey.
So that's the main points over here, and I'm really interested about analyzing more in depth these civilizations and writing out about them.
Our castles.
Yes, we are.
Oh yes.
Enough of this! I shall deal with Joan of Arc. Methinks this peasant girl should go back to her sheep.
Okay, Mr. Fastolf, you're here. So sorry about you. You're kind of late.
Que fait? Oh yeah, l'hiver. L'hiver.
Ohé!
Que y a?
Let's see.
Que fait? Oh yeah.
All of these, for example, Burgundians, they seem to be... They have some interesting stuff.
Que y a?
I would pass some ideas that were applying to this civilization, but at the same time, I feel that there is a lot of cool stuff to say about them. For example, having the technologies 1 age earlier. That's a pretty big deal. If they didn't have all of the other stuff and still had this, that would be an excellent civilization.
Que y a? Prêt. Que fait? L'hiver. Oh yeah. Que y a? Bonjour.
Que fait? L'hiver.
L'hiver.
Ohé, l'hiver.
Que fait? L'hiver. Oh yeah. Serre. À la bataille. Prêt. Oh yeah. L'hiver. L'hiver. Que y a? L'hiver. Que fait? L'hiver.
And they are done.
Que y a? Bonjour. Oh yeah. L'hiver. Assaut. Oh yeah. Serre. Bonjour. Prêt. Oh yeah. L'hiver.
I die for England.
I believe that we didn't die during the siege. It might be wrong, but
L'hiver.
anyway,
Prêt.
GG, man. You still are not defeated. Where are the rest of Fastolf's army?
Que fait? Prêt. Oh yeah. L'hiver. Que y a? Oh yeah. Que fait? Prêt. Que y a? Da. Que fait? Serre. L'hiver. Oh yeah. Serre. Oh yeah. L'hiver. Oh yeah. Que y a? L'hiver. Prêt. Assaut. Que y a? Serre. À la bataille.
He finally resigned.
Prêt. Oh yeah. L'hiver. Que fait? Prêt. Oh yeah. Que fait? Serre. L'hiver. Que y a? Prêt. Que fait? Oh yeah.
The
L'hiver.
Sicilians, however, they seem to be kind of interesting. I feel that they try to merge a very offensive civilization, which probably gonna rely on tower rushing, which is funny because they removed the ability of the Koreans of doing great tower rushes, but they gonna leave the Sicilians as being the civilization that will have this characteristic. So
Que fait? Oh yeah. L'hiver.
I am very curious about how it's gonna play out in the long run.
Que fait? L'hiver.
But I also feel that they're gonna do a lot of plans, they're gonna do a lot of testing. They're gonna do a lot of changes, and I feel that the lack of testing is something that was really bad about this particular DLC.
Prêt. L'hiver. Que y a? Que fait? L'hiver. 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 Oh yeah.
Ohé, l'hiver.
Que y a? L'hiver.
As you can see, oh yeah.
Prêt.
So happy that it's not Joe.
Que y a? Oh yeah. L'hiver. Certes. L'hiver. Oh yeah.
When we
Oh yeah. L'hiver.
when we see the state of this DLC, I see it's promising. I would try to analyze other aspects because it would be really hard to create a whole new civilization. I can see on why they did what they did, but I do not entirely agree on what they did. It's kind of complex. I still want to see the developers trying to bring more attention and make us happier. Showing us care and preparing us for Age of Course 4, because I think it's the whole part of the plan to have these DLCs released. But at the same time, I cannot ignore that some ideas, some concepts that were applied here, I would like them to be applied on other. What is it that they could have other choices. They had other paths to run. and they choose some very particular ones that I believe that will not be really detrimental. Over time, we gonna actually live with that. But I feel that this DLC would be much more happier if we had... Oh no.
Ok, pirate.
Bonjour. Prêt. Certes, que fait? À la bataille. Prêt. Oh yeah. Que fait? Oh yeah.
Oil, pirate.
That's kind of bad, you know. The idea of it was to play more relaxed, but it's not what I'm actually doing here.
Prêt, bûcheron. Minéo.
Yeah, at this point I should actually buy a castle and try to counter them with the castle out here, because that's gonna be really hard without Trebuchet.
Que fait? Libert. Minéo. Ok, Minéo.
Oh dude, it's getting harder. It's kind of sad that I will have to make some edits after losing this game twice in a row. But with a few edits, I guess it will be a decent one, because there is not only my gameplay, but there is a few opinions that I try to create more discussion, community, and try to offer the idea. Yeah, it's a new experimental thing. There is a chance that I'm gonna stop doing it entirely, or there's a chance that I'm gonna try to make this more often, but I really like this idea of talking about what I feel and talking about some things that were recognized by the community, especially because, you know, another... I'm gonna say that it's good to have people that's kind of outsider in the scene, you know. It's interesting for me, in my opinion, when you have people that are not really pro players, because, you know, it's very important to know what the pros think about the game. They are part of the reason on why we are still playing it even after years. But apart from that, I really think that we should understand that there are many point of views, and sometimes what I said, which is basically what entirely of the average citizen who plays Age of Empires said in comments, on videos, on the official website, commentaries on boards. That's interesting. That's something that I really would like to add. I believe that I could cover almost everything that was important about the new DLCs that were created. Oh, this is getting more harder.
Ok, Libert.
Okay, so we got enough here to probably put our castle here. Okay. Alright, yeah, and we need this. Oh, by the way, that is a small addition to what I was talking, but we also gonna have a hotkey special. And believe me, I organize hotkeys better than I talk and better than I analyze the game and play this campaign, which I made some good moves, but I made some terrible moves that shouldn't be entirely avoided. Anyway, you know what happens when you surprise Fastolf's army early on, along with Burgundy. Yeah, we have this, ballistics.
Prêt. Ok, Libert. Bûcheron. Assistant. Prêt. Cueilleur, l'hiver. Prêt. À la bataille. Que fait? C'est. Assistant.
Okay. That was the first time that this level is hard for me. You know, the English tends to be so much easier to deal with. That's what the new AI created for Age of Empires. That's a lot of good things. And another reason on why I really want to buy more often products made by this company and made by these developers. That's really great.
Que fait? Bonjour. Prêt à la bataille. Oh yeah. Que fait? Libère. Prêt. Que fait? Cueilleur, Azon. Prêt. C'est libère. Que fait? Oh yeah. Certes. Cueilleur. Que fait? Cueilleur. Prêt. Oh yeah.
Two
Libère.
English castles destroyed.
Cueilleur,
We have
libère.
but one more to raise.
Them English can't make a castle stronger than Loire.
Oui. Pirate, libère.
We are in a good advantage here.
Prêt. Oh, il Astisor.
Prêt. Oh yeah. Que fait? Libère. Cueilleur, oh yeah.
Ohé.
Great. Very great.
Prêt.
Now we have the Peters, which
Libère.
will
Prêt. Oh yeah.
make
Libère.
our
Libère.
work
Libère.
a lot more easier
Oh yeah.
the last castle.
Assistant.
Cueilleur. Oh yeah.
So even though I had a very bad moment here, I believe that destroying both of early enemies in this level, it's really good. So if you really, nowadays on this level, if you make things go really late game, you can have a lot of trouble. And by the way, I also own it, the attack from Fastolf's army right here.
Libère. Libère.
But that's great, that was a good beat
yeah,
or shot.
Que fait? Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, stop.
Prêt.
Cueilleur.
Cueilleur, libère. Que fait? Ça.
Oh, let's see.
Cueilleur, que fait? Libère. Oh yeah. Libère. Prêt.
It should be a very easy. It should be.
Que fait?
But they tend to have all of their units scattered around.
Cueilleur, bonjour. Que fait? Oh yeah.
Libère, libère.
Prêt. Que fait? À la bataille. Cueilleur.
Yeah, we had a very good engagement here.
Libère.
Prêt, libère.
Prêt. Oh yeah. Cueilleur.
We could defeat them entirely, by the way.
Prêt. Oh yeah, l'hiver. Que fait? Da, terre. Crieur, bonjour.
Préfet, Libet.
Prêt. Azon, que fait? Crieur, oh yeah, l'hiver. Bonjour.
Let's go, Laid. Let's go.
Libet.
Prêt. À la bataille.
Oh no, I don't wanna play it even more rounds.
Prêt, Terrasse. Ohé, Libet.
Que fait? Da.
And we are good.
Préfet, Oil.
Crieur, à la bataille.
Kate,
Yeah, it's GG at this point.
Laire has been grievously wounded.
Terrasse.
That's the last of them.
Libet, Oil.
The English will be
Oil.
forced to surrender the Loire Valley back to the
Libet.
French.
Prêt.
Another
Libet, oh yeah.
victoire for Joan of Arc.
That was great, and I really hope that you enjoyed this new format where we discuss a little bit about about anything about Age of Empires, especially what I believe that most of the community is discussing. And what is your opinion? What do you think about this whole DLC thing? Do we need more DLCs? It's actually viable? There are many points about that, there are many considerations, and I would say, well, it's okay to have DLCs for the Age of Empires franchise. Maybe it should be extremely delicate. Think about new civilizations on Age of Empires 2. Analyze a lot, ask pro players, try to see what is hot with the community. Consider it with caution. But having new content overall, it's good. But please do not turn this game on, more other DLC with just, campaigns and achievements and maybe one or two crazy civilizations. Let's try one step by step and, try to be very strategical about what you do on DLC. So that's what I would have to say to developers and what is my opinion to the community. But what do you think, guys? Let's see, and now let's see the ending of this game.
After Patay, the myth of English invulnerability was dispelled. Now, our army knows it is possible to win, but only if we are resolute and cunning. The English are a most deadly enemy, and their longbowmen have decimated the charge of French knights time and time again. To make matters worse, we now face enemies on both sides. The Dolphins' advisor spend more and more time wrangling, jealous of Joan's influence at court. I pray that Joan can complete her divine mission before the Dolphins' envious advisors betray her.
That's good. We had some interesting moments here, and as you can imagine, we destroyed the two enemies right away. Actually, the English stay around, and they turn out to be some very strong army composition. They lacked siege, which was our advantage, because if they had siege, we would be destroyed once again. So that's incredible. Fastolf army received 4,000 tributes from Gaia. On this case, I believe that it was scripted once the Fastolf's army joined the fray after you destroyed the first English castle. So that's something that I just observed now. Technology, 17 minutes, it could have been much earlier in my opinion, but not much earlier, but still, I was kind of slow in this case. And we had a bunch of villagers, which is also good. But yeah. And here it is, we have a very cool situation where they had 0. I believe that there is no one on Fastolf's army. But then there was a small spike when it shows up these really good army from Fastolf's. Are they gonna try to kill me? But I was a very prepared guy. And here he is, the Burgundy. The army I made sure to destroy early on, and then I just killed the economy, and then they were done. And here is a few battles, especially where I try to be, try to use my initial army. And also this other battle where I try my best to avoid being defeated when I only had villagers, the remaining of my initial army, and John. That's it for today. Oh, and by the way, there's a few things. Yeah, technically it's good that they stayed here. They might, what was it at? It might be sometimes easier for some people to destroy the separate castles, but I do not believe that, because this one was so much easier, and this one they tend to be more crammed positions. You have some trouble, but it's a choice here. And yeah, that was very useless by conserving these demolition ships. They started, I believe they were simply killed at some point. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please like and subscribe, and if you still want to support me even further, read at the end of the description about support, and I see you next time.